Well, I haven't done one of these garden tours since last year, so I guess Happy New Year. We are at the start of February here in UK. I'm based in South London, in fact. So let me show you around. First, some things have changed. Jasmine is not one of them, but interestingly, it's already pulling some fresh flowers, which is nice. I had to repot my Hello Beautiful Girl Japanese Acer, and that's because the pot, it wasn't actually cracked in the frost, which is quite unfortunate, but that's just life. We have a beautiful exhibit of my neglect over the last few months. A dead geranium, another dead geranium, apple blossom, shame it smells delicious, and a fiddle leaf fig tree, which is actually typically frost hardy to a certain level. If you're wondering, they actually grow wild in countries like Morocco, which does get minus temperatures a few times a year, but my one just wasn't ready for it. We'll see if it survives or not. Very miserable fuchsia, some cuttings that you've seen previously, a good looking bay leaf tree, a good looking carex, and just picking through a whole bunch of hyacinths that I've recently planted, and thank goodness squirrels aren't interested in them. They were interested in other things. I also brought from the front of the house a rose that needed attention and sun and more attention, and the very unfortunate looking what is it called? Lavender, which also needed attention. Something got into it, a squirrel perhaps, a fox, I don't know. I use bone meal as a fertilizer for it, and it killed it a little bit. Frost didn't help either. So let's have a look into the grow tent. I won't open it this time around, I'll just show you very quickly. Spring onions with a purple and green kale. That very bright green is celtus, and that one behind is the red bok choy. And then we have a whole crate of flowers, which have not done much yet, and 2 crates of onions. This one has been there since last year, and it's done terribly. It's I'd have to check the variety for it, but the germination rate was so poor, it was just miserable. This one, on the other hand, the one just here, we have Walla Walla and some Welsh onions, which have been germinating really well for me, except one cell, you might notice. The boy is also here. Here's the remnants of the unfortunate pot. As you can see, we still have fox problem, and that's fine. In this bed, not a huge amount going on, except a huge amount going on. So we have heather, which is blooming just over here, and actually right throughout if you look carefully. And we have a lot of spring bulbs coming out, which is very exciting. I was genuinely worried that the squirrels got most of them, but looks like they have not. In this bed, there are actually things going on. I have planted quite a lot of bok choy that has been overwintering in the tent, and it's doing fine. We had a couple of nights of light frost, which has been the theme, and it's doing fine. We also have a lot of thyme. All this is creeping thyme. And then right behind we also have a parsley which overwintered. This one, and also this one's parsley. Now if you're wondering why on earth I have a massive nettle just over there, I'm keeping it for nettle tea, because I'm pregnant and too lazy to go and pick nettles in the wild right now. So there's that. And as you can see, not much going on the border, but I will say that the lupins are coming up just there. Sorry to be pointing with my fingers, but I'm very excited for them. And then in this bed, not much of a change since you've probably seen it last, except we actually have some purple sprouting broccoli coming up, which I was not expecting at this point. I thought this would be a waste and it would turn into green manure, but no, wonderful. I am very excited for that. There's a random stray carrot if you can spot it, some more purple sprouting broccoli, and of course kale from last year. I've planted a bit more new kale since, and hopefully it'll look good. You can actually see it in this bed. I've used this purple kale. I fell in love with the color. The flavor is very similar to green kale, to be perfectly honest, and I'm cool with that. The bed is not looking amazing. It needs a round of fertilizer or really fresh compost and weeding, and you'll see that a couple of bricks are missing. That's again down to foxes. Looking at the last raised bed over here, this is the garlic bed. So we have 2 different kinds of garlic. This one is Germador, and the other one just on this side is all chestnut. And I will say that chestnut had much bigger cloves and much better germination rate, which is interesting. But Germinator was very, very pretty when planting it. It was near enough pink, and I really enjoyed that effect. So let's have a look over here. We have, oh, let me turn around so you don't get the light in your face. If you're wondering what that mess is, we're carrying on various works in the garden. We now have a tree, which I might have mentioned last time that you've seen me. It's a plum tree, which I'm very excited for. And then on this side, to show you what's going on, he is observing foxes. We've had to put a secondary panel over here to prevent foxes coming in at droves. As you can see, also had to put some rocks down, or just crazy, honestly. And then we have 3 blueberry plants over here. I think the middle one is in fact dead. This one is a pink blueberry lemonade, and then this one is Patriot, and this one I cannot remember what's called. Unfortunately, I can probably check on that label, but they're basically nice blueberries. And then, ignore the weeds, but we have lots of spring bulbs coming up, and I'm very excited for that. Now, rosemary is beautiful, absolutely enormous rosemary, has done great through the winter. She is stunning, and she continues to grow. I've planted it in the ground probably late year last year, and it's taken off through the winter since, which was nice. It's never been a small bush, to be perfectly honest, and it's carrying on the trend. I'm hoping you'll literally turn into a bit of a decorative bush at some point. Behind it we have our beautiful generous gardener. Not the most beautiful right now, but it's doing okay. And then we have some lovely rhubarb coming up, which I'm very excited for. The palm tree has survived the winter just fine. We have a couple of days of frost most likely still coming up before the frost season ends, but she's doing okay. I will say she does have a little bit of a fungal issue on one of her fronds, which I might take off, but that's a whole other thing. And then over here, not a huge amount of interest going on at the moment, except we have a first spring flower, and it's a miniature iris, which actually is not an iris. It's part of a crocus family, but I've not had any crocus come up yet, so I'm enjoying it and saying it's an iris. Let me show you how beautiful it is up close. Glorious, absolutely glorious. And that is everything, friends. That is how the garden's looking like. Not a huge amount going on, other than this boy is on the bin again. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.